welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show focused on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Srikanth, joining you live from India Startup Hub, Bangalore, and we have a power-packed show lined up for you over the next 20 minutes.
And I'm Krishna Kumar, coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. First up, a check on all that's making headlines in the world of startups. Executives from the startup world submit their wish list for the upcoming budget to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. What were the key issues discussed? We bring you the details on Startup Central. India's top 22 e-commerce companies posted combined losses of over 7,000 crore rupees in 2015, and this is only likely to increase this year. A special report coming up. After Walmart and Target, US retailer Tesco too wants a larger pie of the Indian startup ecosystem. Draws up plans for an accelerator. On our special segment, The Next Big Star, we tell you about ID Fresh Food, which wants to help you dish out idlis and dosas in a jiffy. And on our special segment, Best Advice Ever, Arvind Brands' CEO shares the best advice he ever received in his career. Straight to our top story, and it's an exclusive one at that. A group of executives representing startups met Finance Minister Arun Jaitley last week on what they want from the upcoming Union Budget 2016. And Chandra got her hands on some exclusive details. So you've been tracking the story, Chandra. Tell us, what were the key issues discussed and what can be potentially addressed in the upcoming budget?
So Krishna, there are four key issues that were discussed. Let me just take you through all of them one by one. First, of course, startups and investors who met the finance minister want parity as far as long-term capital gains tax and investment in unlisted securities is concerned. If you look at the current scenario, an angel investor who puts money in an unlisted company has to face taxation for 3 years under short-term capital gains tax. But if you invest in a listed company, the long-term capital gains tax that's applicable is only 1 year. So when this was proposed, it was really booted as a killer as far as angel investment is concerned. This is something that they want addressed in the upcoming budget. They also want the angel tax to be more broad-based. Currently, there is no angel tax only for accelerators, but for all the other angel investments, this is applicable. They also want that to go away. Secondly, they also want a more favorable regime as far as IPR is concerned. Currently, if you look at the scenario, a lot of patents get registered outside India because there's a more favorable tax regime with respect to royalty, but they now want a concessional rate to come in for IPR in India. Thirdly, they also want SaaS software websites, the B2C websites, to be treated on par. Currently, while Indian sites offering these products have to levy VAT from consumers on each transaction, their foreign contemporaries don't have to do that. So they want a more level playing field in that respect. And lastly, they also want some clarity when it comes to convertible instruments, when it comes to how ESOPs are taxed. So these are some of the key recommendations that they submitted. And when I asked them what they're really hopeful about, considering so many people have been giving Jaitley their own wish lists, they said that they definitely expect something as far as the IPR scenario is concerned, and as far as capital gains tax is concerned. Even if angel investments don't get the 1 year window, they are confident that the long-term capital gains tax will go up to 3 years. So these are some of the key issues. We'll of course have to wait and see in the next couple of weeks on what gets really addressed.
Startups sure have their eyes set on budget 2016 for all those recommendations, if not all, at least the major ones that Chandra was talking about, especially IPR, to come through. So all eyes now on budget 2016, be it us here at ET Now Startup Central or the entire startup universe here in India. On that note, let's move on to our other big headline. Although 2015 saw revenues surging for e-commerce players and startups, it was indeed a very costly affair. A survey conducted by Kotak Institutional Securities showed that total losses increased year on year in 2015 as compared to previous years to the tune of over 7,000 crore rupees. Here's a detailed report.
Kotak Institutional Securities says the 22 top Indian e-commerce startups nearly trebled their losses in 2015 to over 7,800 crores on a combined revenue of 16,200 crores. High cash burn in the retail space by players like Housing.com was the main reason for the magnified losses. Revenues nearly doubled, but losses increased by over 2.5 times. E-tail marketplaces like Flipkart, Amazon and Snapdeal posted a combined revenue growth of 475% in 2015, with Amazon and Snapdeal growing the fastest at 500% year-on-year. Last year saw heavy spending by startups on advertising to disrupt the market share of the incumbents. The trend is only set to grow in the current year. Losses are expected to increase in FY16 as companies are expected to dole out discounts as funding has been tapering over the past couple of months. The high rate of cash burn may force most of the smaller companies to shut down, and at the same time, one or two strong companies from the same lot may emerge stronger as a result of increased focus on unit economics and viable business models.
Some mind-boggling numbers being flagged off by Kotak there. But you know, Krishna, it's also important to note here that just yesterday, Matrix Partners' founder Avnish Bajaj also sort of put out a series of tweets where he spoke about how many founders still haven't internalized the new normal as far as the investing environment is concerned, that they really have to keep their eyes on capital efficiency going forward because funding is going to become difficult. And he's also given a very interesting breakup of what the burn rates should be at each stage of funding. So I certainly hope a lot of entrepreneurs and startups take note of that. But moving on from that to the big world of retail, after Walmart and Target, another global retail giant is betting big on the Indian startup ecosystem. We are talking about UK retailer Tesco, which has plans of bringing its accelerator program to India. Tesco CTO spoke to ET Now's Rahul Daima on their plans here. Let's listen in.
Tesco Bangalore is very important to us. A heavy part of our engineering, a large percentage of our engineering organization is here based in Bangalore, and we consider it a strategic advantage for us. And we are continuing to invest, and we'll try to not only raise the caliber of the talent we have here, but also to continue to invest in the kind of products we create here. It's not just about services, which was the history, but more about products and technology to working together in the retail space.
Okay. You know, I want to know, are you really tracking the startups ecosystem here in India? You know, how are you viewing the entire space, and you know, how will you really are you looking at working with e-commerce players here, and in what way will you explore opportunities going forward?
Well, we have explored opportunities with startups in North America and in London, and so we don't see why we would not also advantage ourselves of the opportunity, the startup scene that is vibrant here in India and in Bangalore in particular. So we look forward to the opportunity to meet the startup community here and see the areas that are of interest to us, supply chain, logistics, customers, fulfillment, customer online sites. There's a whole plethora of things in retail, and we would like to take a look at all of them and see what there is to learn.
All right. You know, what's your India strategy like for startups? You know, Target has an accelerator program, so would you look at an accelerator program or probably a dedicated India fund to really invest in startups? How will you take it forward with startups here?
Well, we just initiated a program called Amplify, and that is to support a startup scene and a program of how to get startups welcome to Tesco, how to get them to navigate Tesco, and we will take that same pattern and apply that here in India. We're not going to have another recipe, and we're just going to take what we've learned and developed and apply it here in India soon.
All right. So you're saying that you are really mulling an accelerator program for startups. It's a little too early, but you know, if you could tell us which areas you mentioned about supply chain and logistics, could you just divulge a few more details as to which areas are you really looking at?
Well, look, part of startup scene is to look at innovation and not try to predict it and to say that it's going to be in this area or that area. So we'd rather be more open and opportunistic to creative ideas in the retail space, whether they're in IoT, whether in classical consumer retail, whether in the supply chain. We're looking forward to all those innovations and see whether we can advantage ourselves.
All right. You know, lastly, expansion plans as far as your tech center here in Bangalore is concerned. Walmart is investing heavily. Would Tesco also, you know, aggressively invest here in Bangalore?
Well, I think we have a significant presence here in Bangalore for a number of years, over a decade. Right. And so we continue to invest in technology, and given that Bangalore is one of our biggest strategic technology centers, that investment will fall here also.
What kind of investments are we talking? I know I'm digging in a little too deeper. What kind of investments are we talking
I
about?
can't speak specifics on numbers, but let's just say that we're going to invest more in technology in the coming year than in the past, and therefore it will also have an effect in Bangalore.
From that giant retailer to the next big star, that's the segment that we are addressing. And on the show today, Krishna, we have a company that I'm sure you and I will relate to very well. This company is called ID Fresh Food, and they are in the business of making readily made idli and dosa batter, basically catering to metros. Let's in fact get in the founder of ID Fresh Food, PC Musthafa. Musthafa, thank you so much and welcome to ET Now Startup Central. I want to start by asking you, when you started this business and till now, what problem are you really seeking to solve by selling these products, and how have you managed to achieve that?
ID has a very unique proposition in the market. We identified a potential gap in the market for the challenges of creating or cooking fresh homemade idli dosa at home, and that's where we started. Cooking idli dosa at home involves a very difficult process or cumbersome process of preparing batter, and ID is trying to solve that problem of helping or making the life easy for a homemaker to cook a homely meat at home without making any compromise, either in terms of quality, hygiene, freshness, or in terms of the ingredients which goes in. If you look at the products ID, all products are 100% natural. We do not add any chemicals or preservatives or any added flavors into the product. We do not add any soda, for example, in the batter. So we keep it natural, and we do not take the credit away from the homemaker. We give the batter, she cooks the idli, and she serves it as her idli, and she gets the credit.
Musthafa, this is Krishna Kumar coming to you from ET Now's Mumbai studios. I'm just a little curious over here. Tell us, how big is the market, that you're operating in or sort of creating, so to speak, and more importantly, how big can you grow from your own?
We're a 120 crore business as on today, as on this month, growing at a pace of around 8 to 9% month on month, the last few months. The market size, according to our estimate, just a Bangalore business, idli could be as big as a 1,500 crore business. We hope to be the market leader and have a first mover advantage and own the space. That's what we're trying to do.
Musthafa, you said you're catering in a market that is largely organized, but really define your competitors to us. I mean, who are your competitors currently?
So if you look at the batter business, mostly it is made at home. So we're actually fighting with homemade batter or the grinders at home. The real differentiation would be, we add a lot of value and bring convenience to the homemaker. Instead of making the batter at home, it's faster, better, cheaper to buy the batter and cook the idli.
Musthafa, what would you say is your secret sauce, or should I say secret chutney? What do you do that your competitors can't?
I believe there is not too much of a rocket science in batter making or paratha making. We keep it 100% natural, and we are very good in manufacturing fresh products, taking it to the market on a daily basis, and keeping it fresh in the chillers, and thereby maintaining the quality throughout the supply chain. And as I told you earlier, we keep it 100% natural without adding any chemicals or preservatives or even soda into the batter or any of our products.
All right, Musthafa, I wanted to check with you. You've been talking about how, it's an unorganized market largely. That being the case, how exactly do you reach the customers? What exactly are your marketing strategies?
We do daily distribution and we own our distribution network. It's very important for us to own the distribution network because we have to maintain the freshness throughout the supply chain. In terms of marketing, so far we relied mainly on the word of mouth marketing, and that really worked well for us. Going forward, we are trying to tell a story to the customers, and that's my biggest challenge as well. If you look at any packed food comes with chemicals, preservatives. That's the mindset for the customer. So general mindset in the market is packed food is not good for health, whereas we are actually trying to sell a packed food which is 100% natural without any preservatives or chemicals. Even if I tell them, they're not going to believe it. I've been trying for the last few years to communicate this. Even today, that's my biggest challenge.
Musthafa, I have to ask you, what has been the kind of traction that you've witnessed so far, in terms, you've had such a unique business model, so to speak, on something so generic. What is the kind of traction that you've witnessed, and more importantly, what kind of goals have you set yourself, say, over the next 12-month horizon?
We have seen, if you look at ID's growth, we are almost doubling our revenue year on year. This year, we will cross at around 110, 120 average revenue for this year. We look at a 200 crore revenue next year. This will mainly come from the new markets that we launch, penetrating in the existing markets, as well as a couple of new products that we plan to launch in the market.
You mentioned new markets, but be more specific here, Indian market, overseas market. What kind of new markets and new product categories will you be targeting this year?
So new markets that we are getting into immediately would be Coimbatore, Cochin in India, and the Middle East we are getting into Muscat and Kuwait.
Musthafa, finally, I didn't get your answer on the new products bit. So if you can also tell us about the product category extensions that is going to help you this year.
New products, we are actually getting into 4 new products immediately. One would be your Rava Idli batter, then Vada batter. We are also getting into value-added dairy, which is curd and paneer, and we will keep it 100% natural. That will be our differentiating factor.
PC Musthafa, founder of ID Street Food, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on ET Now Startup Central. Moving on away from that and on to our special segment today, we have J. Suresh, CEO of Arvind Lifestyle Brands, sharing the best advice ever, as in the best advice he received in his career. Here's what you can learn from his experience.
No, I think the best advice I got is you should really believe in what you're doing, because if you have to drive something passionately, which is what is really required, because if you have to succeed, you have to operate at high energy levels, and that can happen only if you believe in something and drive it passionately. And also it's important that your team gets the energy from you, and your passionate driving of something, energizes the entire team. So that I would say is the single best advice I got in my career, which has helped my career right through this 30 years.
That brings us to our final segment for the day, Number Crunch, and the number we are crunching for you today is 70 lakhs. Now, why is 70 lakhs special? That's apparently the cost of the watch that Karnataka's Chief Minister Siddaramaiah wears. And he's always said that, he's a socialist, a follower of freedom fighter Ram Manohar Lohia. But clearly, he seems to have some material instincts there. Krishna, he's under immense pressure to auction that watch. Pretty much what Prime Minister Modi had to do with that monogram suit. Now, if I have to auction for that watch, I know I'll have to raise, an angel round of funding. But I'm sure you're going to be one of the bidders. So when are we going to see you wearing that watch on ET Now Startup Central?
A bid for that watch, Chandra. I'm trying to auction this watch if possible to raise a new round of funding. But 70 lakh rupees for a watch, that number just leaves me dumbfounded. And, but more importantly, Chandra, at the end of this edition of Startup Central, I'm actually very hungry, having spoken about idli dosa for so long. I really wouldn't mind a plate right now, and that's the reason why we have to wrap things up here on ET Now Startup Central. But don't go anywhere, keep watching ET Now. Coming up next is Market Watch.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.